Hi, I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, a San Diego man under arrest accused of lying in a terrorism investigation.
And from water restrictions to an NFL warning, the city budget, and more. I'm Peggy Pico with San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulkner for an update on city business. Then,
I went through this when I was your age, and it's all I thought about when I was locked up.
San Diego's premiere of Placas, the most dangerous tattoo, a preview of the award-winning national production and why you can only see it at a local high school.
Maybe if I can bring home his remains, no matter when, I can feel like I did something for him.
Still missing in action 4 decades after the Vietnam War, the new operation giving a San Diego woman hope. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. An international terrorism investigation has led to the arrest of a San Diego man. The 24-year-old made his first court appearance today. Authorities say he lied during a federal investigation into his activities and associations in Syria. He faces 2 counts of making false statements. Each one comes with a penalty of 8 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Today, a judge ordered him to be held without bail. The arrest comes just 2 days after another counterterrorism investigation led to the arrest of 2 others in San Diego trying to help the self-proclaimed Islamic State. The city of San Diego will finalize legal settlements with women who were victims of sexual misconduct at the hands of police officers. The settlements are worth $1.5 million. One case involves former officer Christopher Hayes. You may recall last August he pled guilty to illegally detaining 4 women while on duty and groping them. City documents show council members voted to settle with 2 victims. The other case involves former officer Donald Moncrief, who was not charged with any crimes. Council members are set to review the settlement on Tuesday. All the cells in your body are powered by mitochondria. Think of them like batteries that give your body energy. Scientists at the Salk Institute have found a new way to cut bad mitochondria out of embryos. KPBS science reporter David Wagner joins us to discuss what that means and why some experts say it poses ethical concerns. Why are scientists so interested, David, in fixing mitochondria?
Well, it's partly because mitochondrial diseases have no current treatment and they can really be awful. Mitochondria are passed down directly from mothers, and when women carry faulty mitochondria, they can end up giving birth to kids who, in severe cases, don't live past childhood. I interviewed a local mom named Christina Whaley earlier this year. She has 2 girls with mitochondrial disease, and you can see their symptoms right away. They can't walk on their own, they can't talk in full sentences. Here's what Whaley had to say about the debate surrounding experimental new techniques for preventing these diseases.
I definitely wanted to hear that there was an option for me to have more children. I definitely, can't imagine my life without having children in it. And of course I want, a healthy child.
So what are her options?
Well, scientists and regulators have been talking a lot about this procedure that's sometimes called 3-parent in vitro fertilization. It's not approved in the U.S., but lawmakers in the U.K. recently voted in favor of it. It's controversial, though, because it would require parts of a healthy egg from another woman, and technically you'd get babies from this technique that carry genes from 3 different people.
And where does this new research from the Salk Institute fit in, David?
Well, actually, this new technique that they've developed is theoretically a replacement for that 3-parent approach. Researchers led by Juan Carlos Ispizua Belmonte discovered a way to directly cut out bad mitochondrial DNA in mouse embryos. It requires just 1 injection of a molecule that works on mitochondrial DNA like a pair of scissors. The researchers say if it works the same way in humans, it could be a simpler way to prevent disease.
Clinics who do this procedure of in vitro fertilization on a daily basis, they can implement and adapt on top of what they normally do.
So when will scientists try this on humans?
Well, Dwayne, not anytime soon. This approach raises all kinds of ethical concerns, and experts are asking if editing mitochondria might put us on the path to editing other kinds of DNA, letting parents create so-called designer babies. And what if this creates new problems in human DNA? The issue is these changes could be passed on for generations. Chinese researchers recently reported the first work on modifying human embryos, and the scientific community reacted to that by calling for a temporary ban on this kind of work. So until they've reached an agreement on the ethics involved here, this mitochondrial fix will probably stay in the lab and out of the clinic.
KPBS science reporter David Wagner. There's a new proposal to stop kids from lighting up e-cigarettes in California. State lawmakers are considering a bill to make it illegal for vendors to sell any type of vaping devices to minors. Current law only prevents minors from purchasing devices with nicotine cartridges. A national survey shows e-cigarettes are now more popular among teenagers than traditional cigarettes. A San Diego program that pays homeowners to remove their green, lush lawns has run out of money again. 350 people snatched up rebates to replace their grass with drought-tolerant landscaping. The rebates became available on tax day and ran out a week later. That means at least 500,000 square feet of grass will be replaced. There will be no more rebates from the city until July. That's when the new fiscal budget kicks in. There still may be rebates available, though, from the Metropolitan Water District. You can check that out at their website, SoCalWatersmart.com, for details. Defending his game plan to save the Bolt, San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulkner says wait and see the buzz over a new stadium plan when it's released next month. Peggy Pico checks in with the mayor in her monthly chat about city business.
Mayor Kevin Faulconer, welcome back.
It's great to be back. Thank you.
Well, no, you proposed a $3.2 billion budget for 2016, promising a spending focus on neighborhoods. How's that going to happen?
It's good news. And to be on the other side of where we are now after some very difficult financial times for the city, Peggy, it's all about neighborhoods, and it's about reinvesting in our libraries, our rec centers. A particular focus of mine is street repair to make sure that we're doing what we should be in every neighborhood in San Diego when it comes to our infrastructure.
So let's talk about those street repairs. It's a big part of the budget, as you mentioned, specifically street and sidewalk repairs. How does this year's infrastructure budget compare to last year, and how are you prioritizing who gets the repairs first?
We're growing, and that's the good news. And my commitment was that every year, as we see this growth, that 50% of that will go right back into neighborhood infrastructure. We're going to be paving more streets than we have in a very, very long time. And we're going to do it not by politics or by, it's going to be by what are the streets that need it the most. And so we're doing surveys of all of our streets, and so we're going to put our dollars right into those streets that need the most help now. And I think you're going to see a real difference. And that's one of the things that I'm most excited about in this budget.
And it's part of that in the infrastructure for the streets, coordinating work, for instance, if there's water, the main work going on at the streets, what's happening there?
It really is. And not just doing it on a yearly basis, but looking out ahead to several years now. It's one of the things that we're implementing a change. One of the most frustrating things, I think, for anybody is to come out and see the city do work and then a year later come up and dig up the street again. So we're coordinating those with our sewer and water repair jobs. When you see them, pipes are going into the city. So we make sure we do it once. It's called one dig. Imagine that, trying to be looking ahead to see when we're going to do things. That's the type of changes that we're making. And I think it's going to, not only is it going to save dollars, but it's going to make for much smoother construction out in our neighborhoods.
And looking ahead, the San Diego Public Utilities Department told me last week that they had hired a handful of people, maybe a few more, to enforce the state's mandatory water restrictions. How is the city going to enforce those water restrictions? And specifically, I'm thinking of in parks and our golf courses.
Well, the city has to lead by example, certainly. You're going to see that cut back on city watering, which has already started now. San Diegans have done a really good job of conservation. I mean, if you look at just an example from 2007 to where we are now, our water use as a city is down, everyone's water use by double digits. That's very good news. Now, we still have more to do, and that's what we're going to be doing in terms of incentives for turf replacement and a variety of other things. But we're also going to have folks out there making sure that people aren't wasting water, letting sprinklers run all night or run all day. They're going to be out there holding people accountable.
And as far as the public parks and the public areas, is there something specific for them?
You're going to see some of the watering reduced in some of our parks. We're going to keep our turf, obviously, fields open and our fields open, but it's going to affect everyone, and it has been. And that's just part of the reality of the drought that we're in. But one of the things that I'm pushing very strongly on, and in fact I'll be in Sacramento next week, is to urge for us to get additional credit and incentives for some of the things that we're already doing, like moving forward on our pure water recycling program, that when it's built, we're going to have a third of our water, a sustainable water supply for us here in San Diego. That's something that no other city is moving forward on a plan that's that big.
The city of Carson is moving forward in a different way to build a football stadium there. And on Monday, a newspaper up in LA, the Daily News, reported that the NFL had said something along the lines that San Diego had no workable plan or timetable to keep the Chargers here. Are you working with the NFL? Have they said that to you?
Well,
how do you respond to that?
We are indeed, and I'm not quite sure what the LA newspaper was saying, but yeah, we're in obviously constant communication with the NFL, and they're very familiar about the plan that we are putting together. We're a Citizens Advisory Group that's for the first time in this effort over years is going to be a real plan. A plan that's going to be financially fair, it's going to make common sense, and one that I believe voters will support. That's our opportunity. We've done it before when we came together as a city for Petco Park. I think we have the ability to do that again for not just it's not just the same with the Chargers play at, but our Aztecs and so many other special events. That's the real opportunity, and to create a sense of place. So as an example, as you imagine, a new river park there in Mission Valley, those are the types of things that we have the opportunity to do.
So you still think there's hope to move forward on this?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to Balboa Park's Plaza de Panama.
Yeah.
Now I understand there were some new amenities there.
Yeah, it was a nice thing yesterday. It was all about activating the public space out there. That's what great cities do with their public spaces. And to see the colors out there, some of the seating, the umbrellas, the benches. It's all about creating a place for people to come enjoy an evening and afternoon. And we'll have the opportunity to make some of those changes, move it around, from time to time, but encouraging people to come, be a part of one of the best parks in the country. It was great to see that happen yesterday.
All right, San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer, thanks again.
Thank you.
Forget about mystery meat and frozen vegetables. Chula Vista schools are joining a new program helping students connect over good meals. KPBS reporter Matt Bowler explains how it changes cafeterias in the Sweetwater Union High School District.
Chicken grilling on a barbecue with Spanish guitar in the background. A perfect restaurant meal for an outdoor lunch. But this isn't a restaurant, and this isn't someone's backyard. This is Hilltop High School's cafeteria. Eric Spann runs the food service department for Sweetwater Union High School District. The district has joined the statewide program called California Thursdays. Sweetwater schools serve an entree every Thursday made of 100% California-grown food.
It's fresher, it's local. It's coming from our back door.
For 3 weeks now, Sweetwater's been serving California Thursday food. Hilltop High senior Michael Davis says food in the cafeteria didn't used to be this good.
But you can tell it's greasy. Most of the time it's really greasy.
But now,
it's delicious.
And that's not all that's going on in Sweetwater's cafeterias.
We're really on the precipice of a great change in Sweetwater.
High-quality, unprocessed food is making its way into the school cafeteria.
Because food is important, and actually having good food is even better.
Davis says good food makes good meals, and good meals help people connect with one another.
We should be brought together in a sense, and I think this is a good first step to bringing the people together.
For Spann, this is part of a long-term plan to make lives better.
And making sure that, we leave something behind that's going to not only take care of those kids, but also my kids, and then my kids' kids, and, everybody in the district's kids and the students' kids, so they have something that they can look forward and be proud of.
Good food has long-lasting effects. Matt Bowler, KPBS News.
The Vietnam War ended 40 years ago this month, but for families of the 1,600 U.S. service members still missing, it lives on. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy talked to one family in San Diego about their search for closure.
Zim and Elaine. Everybody called him Zim.
It's been more than 4 decades since Elaine Zimmer Davis got the knock on her door that no Marine wife wants to hear.
I didn't want to open it because I knew what was coming.
Her husband's F-4 Phantom plane had been shot down over a remote mountainside in Vietnam.
These are the packages of dirt from Jerry's crash site.
It was August 29th, 1969. The 25-year-old pilot was killed in action. No body recovered, they told her.
Later, when I saw members of his squadron in Vietnam came to see me, they said, Elaine, we could have put him MIA. This was the guys, and they said, we didn't want you to be waiting years.
Captain Jerry Zimmer was later reclassified to MIA, missing in action.
If they did not come home, they then became MIAs.
Elaine says she spent years wondering if he might still be alive.
I thought, he's out there. But inside, I think there was that sort of push-pull, feeling that, he couldn't have survived.
Jerry Zimmer's unknown fate is shared with 1,600 other Vietnam service members who remain unaccounted for. The U.S. government set up a command after the war ended to investigate MIA cases. They've recovered the remains of 900 service members. Jerry's case was unsolved and stamped no further pursuit. Back in the States, life went on for Elaine and their 2-year-old son, Craig. They moved across the country from Rhode Island to Tustin, California. It's where she met Ron Davis, a Marine helicopter pilot just back from Vietnam.
We met sort of accidentally, and within the next year, we were married.
Over the years, she had another son. She also completed college and enjoyed being a wife and stay-at-home mom. The family eventually settled in San Diego, but Elaine says part of her remained unsettled.
This was Jerry's sword.
After accompanying her husband on a business trip to Vietnam in 2004, she began a quest to bring Jerry's remains home.
Maybe if I can bring home his remains, no matter when, I can feel like I did something for him.
Researching and writing about his case became her full-time job. She has dedicated a downstairs room in her Point Loma home to Jerry's memorabilia.
I just love it. It was his. It must have shrunk about 40 times.
The family took multiple trips to Vietnam to search for evidence. They interviewed locals and documented their findings to present to the U.S. government.
The crash site was approximately right here, and this is the overlay on the map.
Ron Davis is a former FBI agent. He used his investigation skills to try to find Jerry's remains.
I'm a Marine, and he's a Marine, and just from the pure, the pure brotherhood of Marines, I'm very proud and pleased to be assisting. We found 7 parts, and 6 of the parts were identified by Phantom experts.
The government did reopen the case. Elaine says an excavation of the crash site is underway.
Right now, there is a small portion that they have nailed down as where remains, perhaps with his body in portions of the aircraft, where they slid down the mountain.
She says results could come next month.
Having his remains come back and he's here, I think that would do a lot for our family.
Or flight school.
For Jerry's son, Craig, now 47, his mom's search for closure has been an opening for him to learn more about his father.
That's how I looked when I was younger. Okay. My mom pulled out this chest of letters, of mementos, of all kinds of things that were 40 years in the past. And the thing that was the most, I think, just awe-inspiring was she had these tapes.
Don't forget that keep my eyes on you all the time and take good care of Mommy and make her behave herself. Take care of her. Remember Daddy's still thinking of you all the time.
He's a hard person to live up to because, I mean, he was a farmer, small town. He got into an Ivy League university. He became a naval aviator with the Marine Corps.
40 years after the Vietnam War concluded on April 30th, 1975, Elaine says it may finally end for her.
Maybe now he'll come home.
This is the flag that was presented to us at the 40th anniversary of my dad's crash site at Arlington.
Jerry's remains, if found, will be buried at Arlington National Cemetery.
So it's Daddy telling you goodbye for now, Craigie, and just behave yourself, and I'll be seeing you pretty soon, Craigie.
Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
KPBS video journalist Katie Shulov helped produce that story. By the way, tomorrow, join us for a live broadcast aboard the USS Midway, commemorating the fall of Saigon 40 years later. That's tomorrow night, right here on Evening Edition, beginning at 5.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next News Hour. Transgender in America, a personal story of transformation. That's Thursday on the PBS News Hour.
The award-winning production of Placas, The Most Dangerous Tattoo, premieres tonight in San Diego. Earlier, Peggy Pico caught up with the playwright and lead actor for a preview.
The play focuses on a Salvadoran immigrant and former gang member who is trying to cope with his past and reunite with his family and society.
I went through this when I was your age, and it's all I thought about when I was locked up. I lost 9 years away from you, son.
Placas is slang for gang tattoos, and this drama explores the complicated and risky process of tattoo removal and the struggles of leaving the gang life. Joining me is Placas playwright, Chula Vista native Paul Flores, who just received the Doris Duke Theater Artist Award, and the lead actor in the play, Rick Salinas, of the acclaimed performance troupe Culture Clash. Now, Paul, what inspired you to write this play?
Mostly the desire to want to set a good example for the folks impacted by gangs are in my neighborhood that I live in, San Francisco. I wanted to be able to give them something that they could be proud of, that would show that they were actually trying to move beyond some of the negative stereotypes and represent the love that they're capable of feeling. So I wanted to give them something they could be proud of and something that would inspire them to maybe try something else besides gang life.
And how about you, Rick? You play the lead character. What drew you to this script?
Well, when he first approached me, I'm with the group Culture Clash, going on our 30th year anniversary this year. I read the script, and at first I thought, another play about Latino gangs? I mean, really, we don't want to see that. But when I read and found out that he did interviews, he did his homework, it's based off an actual guy named Alex Sanchez, and I was born in El Salvador, so it really hit close to me. And what I keep telling him is that he wrote a Greek tragedy, which means it's a universal story about a father trying to save his family, trying to save his son, and more importantly, trying to shed the past. And the thing about second chances, redemption, it's all in this play.
And Rick mentioned Alex Sanchez of the Homies Unidos, a nonprofit group that works with at-risk and former gang members. What role did Alex have? Did he have a role in this play?
Yeah. Alex's role was the main consultant. I met Alex through an organization called the Central American Resource Center in San Francisco. Alex is basically known very well as being a peacemaker. His job is to help sometimes rival gangs or any gang impacted young person find support networks, right? So he knows a lot of people. And for me to have him as my #1 consultant, he was basically legitimizing this play to be something that would not harm, folks who gave me the interviews that I was able to use to create the script, because the script is based on over 100 interviews, so it's all like a docudrama piece. But Alex was able to give me an entrance to a world that I never would have been able to access otherwise, and all on his word and his good reputation.
And Rick, yeah, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, talk about legitimize. This play is done with the direction of Michael Garces, who's the artistic director of Cornerstone. The cast is all professionals. We really set out to do our homework as actors to portray these real stories. And it is a good drama. It's up there with an August Wilson play, or, any plays that have drama, a little comedy here and there, and material that you rarely see on stage.
And this play has toured nationally already. Its premiere here in San Diego is at Lincoln High School tonight. That's not a usual venue for a play. Why did you choose that?
Well, first of all, the Lincoln High School Theater is beautiful. It's gigantic, 750 seats, and it looks like a a beautiful, beautiful theater, and I'm very, very proud to be there. We're working with Building Healthy Communities, City Heights. And so City Heights is a really interesting neighborhood. They call it the Ellis Island of the West. Well, all the different immigrant communities that up and down University Avenue. The organization that supported us to get through here is called Mid-City Can. And we're also being supported by Teatro Iscali and Macedonio Arteaga, a resident of City Heights who works in the school district. So we wanted to connect the social service organizations who are providing services for immigrants to a venue that's close, rather than going downtown or to La Jolla. Lincoln High School is accessible. And so we think it's a beautiful place.
Well, as a Chula Vista native, then what does it mean to you to bring this play back home?
It's like a dream come true to be able to. I left here 20 years ago, and earlier this week we're at UCSD, where I graduated 20 years ago, presenting this play, and now I get to offer it to all the people I grew up with, my family, my mom, who I'm really happy to be able to offer her the opportunity to come close to see my work.
Excellent. Well, Paul Flores and Rick Salinas, thank you so much. And I want to let folks know that Placas, the Most Dangerous Tattoo, opens at Lincoln High School tonight, April 23rd, and runs through the 25th. For more information, go to kpbs.org.
We may see a few more showers tonight in San Diego. 60s by the beaches, more clouds for the inland valleys with temperatures in the 60s. There's a break from the rain in the mountains and staying dry and warm in the desert. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.